Now that we've created the foundation for our quiz, we're ready to begin adding questions. In order to do so, I'm going to click on Edit Quiz. This brings us to the page showing all questions associated with this quiz. Now, there aren't any yet, but that's because I haven't created any. In order to create them, I can simply go to the right-hand side here and click on Add. It will ask us if we want to create a new question, one from a question bank, or a random question. Now, I don't have any questions in my question bank yet, so I'm going to click on New Question. This brings up a pop-up box showing us the different types of questions that we can add to assessments. And if I scroll down, you'll see there are a lot of them. I highly recommend taking a look at the different question types and playing around with them so you can find the ones that work best for your course. There are really some neat ones in here. Now, for this example, I'm going to select a common one, and that is multiple choice. Once I click on that, I'll scroll down and click Add. And this brings us to the multiple choice question template. So from here, we first need to decide what category we'd like it in. And this is because any questions that you create inside of Moodle will automatically be saved. So this is an attempt to organize them. You can put them as a default underneath this quiz or in a default for the course. Now, later we'll take a look at the question bank. There you have the ability to create different categories. But for right now, this is fine. Now, for the question name, you're going to want to give it a name that you will remember later. Because like I said, they'll save all questions that you create on Moodle so that you can access them later and add them to assessments. So instead of putting something like 1, 2, 3, 4, give it a name that you'll be able to recognize when you see it later. And this is something that only you'll see. The questions on the quiz will be numbered. So I'm going to put communication elements, medium. Down below is where we can add the question text. So down here is where we put in the question. We can use the rich text editor and add links, images, audio, video, and more. In this case, though, I am just adding in a question using text. So I'll go ahead and start typing that out. Now, once I have my question in there, I'll scroll down and we can select a default mark. This is the number of points we want the question worth. I'm going to put it as 5. Now we can leave general feedback for the question. We can decide whether there is only one correct answer or multiple correct answers. I only have one. You can shuffle the choices if you'd like. You can decide how you want to number them. I'm going to keep it at the default of lowercase letters. And then down below is where we can enter in the options that the students can choose from. Now, this looks a bit tricky, but it really is just a rich text editor up here that allows you to bold some of the different options. You can add links, you can add images, and so on. Now in here, I'm putting some simple text. I'm going to put in you. For the second choice, I will put in your team members. So once you have all the options in here, I want to go back up to the top and point out another thing. And that is we have to select the correct answer. Now, choice 1, which is you, is incorrect. So I don't want this to be worth anything. And by default, it says none. One cool thing about Moodle is that it does allow for partial credit. So if you had a question that wasn't exactly the right answer, but it was a decent answer and you wanted to give partial credit, you can click here and select the percentage you want to give for that answer. In this case, I want to keep it at 0 because this is the incorrect answer. Now below this, we have the ability to leave feedback. So in other words, if a student selects this option, at the end, will they receive feedback telling them why it wasn't incorrect? This can be a great idea if you have the time to do it. So in here, for you, I'm going to put you are the sender. Now for the next one, it has your team members. This is incorrect, so I want it to be worth 0. And for the feedback, I'm going to put they are the audience. In the third choice, it's email. This one is correct, so I want to set this at 100%, meaning that any student who chooses this option will receive 100% of the points for this question. I'm not going to leave feedback there. And then down here, you need to change the meeting time. That is the message. So I'm going to keep that at none. And then down here for feedback, I'll put this is the message. Now I'll scroll down here. I don't need choice 5, so I'm going to leave that blank. If you do need it, you could fill it out. And if you needed to add even more than that, you can click here to add more blanks. Now, down below, you can look at combined feedback, multiple tries, and if you want to have a penalty for multiple tries. And when you're done, click on Save Changes. Now, you can see here that we do have one question inside of this quiz. communication elements, medium. It has the question, and it's saying that it's worth 5 points. That's good. That's what I wanted this to be. Remember that when I set up the quiz initially, the entire quiz was worth 10 points. So I'm going to put 2 questions worth 5. Now I'm going to go add a second question, and I'll do this one a little bit quicker. I'm going to the right, I'll click on add a new question. This time I'll select true, false, scroll down and click add. And here I'll keep it in that default category. For the question name, I'm going to put communication elements context. And then I'm going to put in the text for the question. Now, once I have the question entered in here, I'll scroll down. We can leave the default mark, which in this case, by default says 1. I'm going to leave it at that right now, just to show how we can change that later on. I'm not going to leave any general feedback. And then down here, you'll notice that we have a different look. And that's because before we were in the multiple choice template, now we're in the true, false template. And here, I need to first select the correct answer. In this case, the correct answer is true. So I'll put that in. And if I wanted to leave feedback for that response, I could. You can also put in feedback for the incorrect response. In this case, I'm not going to. I'll go down here and click on Save Changes. And just like that, we now have 2 questions that are inside of this quiz. One problem, though, if you look over to the right, is that this one's only worth 1 point. So this doesn't really make sense, but I can easily change that by clicking on the pencil icon. I'll change that to 5 and then hit Enter or Return. Just like that, I have a 10-point quiz with 2 5-point questions. Now, I'm going to back out and go back to my Effective Team Communication dashboard. And when I scroll down under Effective Meetings, we have this Communications and Leadership quiz. If I click on it, it brings it up and then shows us that we can preview the quiz now. I'll go ahead and click on that. When I do, it's first asking us if we want to start this because it is timed. I'll go ahead and click Start Attempt. And you can see on the right here that we have the time remaining, and that is counting down. So it's at 9:53, 9:52, and so on. Above that, we can go ahead and navigate to different questions. So I can navigate to question 2, back to question 1. And then over here is where I'm going to put in my answers. Now, for this one, I'll select the wrong answer. So I'll put A. And then I'm going to go to question 2. And for this one, I'm going to get it correct. I'll put Finish Attempt. Our answers are saved. And now down below, I'm going to click on Submit All and Finish. I want to confirm that I want to do that. And right away, I get this feedback. I think this is a very powerful thing for students to be able to see which ones they got right or wrong and what the correct answer was for ones that they got incorrect. Example here, I answered A for the first one, and that is incorrect. It's saying after, you are the sender. So, okay, so that's why I got that one incorrect. Then below it, it's telling me here the correct answer is actually email. Now, if I go down here, it's saying the next question, I guessed true, and I got that one correct. So it is that immediate feedback that I had. Now, I'm going to back out here. And that's how you add questions to a quiz in Moodle. Now, when we were creating that quiz, we had the opportunity to add questions from the question bank. Remember that anytime you create questions inside of Moodle, it will automatically store them in the question bank so you can access them later. Next, let's take a look at the question bank.